What really means be adjust into ease? What does that really means? So yeah, let's see where this goes.
So I just thought of it. I draw this, and you guys have probably seen this before. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here is a system at, let's call it physiological peace. We see the smiley face, right? And we see that the neck represented here is neutral. It's straight. I'm going to see if I can toggle over to another one. Okay, so this one on this side, this is your classic school teaching of laterally flex and rotate over the contact. Is everybody with me? What I'm representing here, Edwin, by this red, it's obviously the biggest, let's call it the biggest owie in the system. Yeah? And so now I'm going to back up and talk about listings. So the Palmers needed to, or especially BJ, break down the listings in a very mechanical way. Dee was talking in a very spiritual, vibrational, frequency, tonal language. BJ took it upon himself to get it more of the mechanics so that they could bring it to the masses and teach more chiropractors. So we use listing conversations. Roman does it eloquently in French, so it sounds much prettier than when I do it. And we'll talk about spinous pivot, body right, spinous pivot, body left, entire segment left, entire segment right. And what I tell you guys is entire segment right, that's called a dislocation. That's called take them to the spinal center right now and have emergency spinal decompression, right? So I jump ahead into more of a level 2, level 3 type of mindset, even for the beginner, because I think it serves you to think of the listings as a distortion in energy that's running through the system that is manifesting into something we're calling a spinal listing. Everybody with me? And so when you CAT scan MRI the neck and you have 2 or 3 different reads under your hands, now, Edwin, I think we're getting into the conversation. Which one do I put an input into? When, why, how, what's the order, etc. So my elementary image here seeks to help with that conversation. In school, when we're in a mechanistic, manipulative type of mindset, everybody's going to go here first to the biggest, most gnarly, snarling owie. Well, you have a medium-sized distortion over here. Maybe that's manifesting as a body pivot spinous left. And then we have a smaller distortion down here. Now, what I've represented with these green little saucer type things is the size of the window of invitation or the rapport. So now I think we're getting into your dialogue, Edwin, that when I sense ease, we might be interchanging language as far as rapport and invitation. And so in green, you're seeing the windows of invitation. And so now, which color distortion manifesting as a spinal listing has the biggest window of invitation? Which color?
The orange one.
The orange one, right? So in a very basic sense, which one are we going to address first?
The orange one?
The orange one.
Okay.
Okay? Because that's where we have the most rapport, the most invitation in the body, everything from the breath, from the person's eyes, their slight smile, all kinds of reads that we're getting on the system is saying, yes, you have an invitation to this party. Now, it's very subtle, so now it's just to listen. They're both there. They both need to be cleared. But let me ask you guys, what am I sensing? C7, right? It's clear. It's oxygen. It's made. So now what's my job?
Whatever it takes.
Trust it. Listen. But like, So here you're getting to watch me. I'm live and transparent. You're getting to watch me go intellectual mental here, saying, but wait, we're not introducing occiput during the seminar. Maybe C7 would just be cleaner for their demonstration, but everything's going, it's occiput. And so now you're watching me go through that little path of myself. And so, but the choice is made, isn't it? What do I have to clear?
Okay.
Now, a cool thing with this is the way the dynamics of the system works when we keep it at ease. When we put the input into here and release the orange. Yes?
Yes.
Look at the orange energy that's released. It went up. It went down. It even traveled across and touched the big red owie. And what is happening to the red owie now? It is starting to release. And it even went down and touched the red distortion. Now the energy and information from that now just came down and touched and informed this distortion that was bound in the system. And now it is starting to release as well. And look, the whole time the system is at physiological peace. All right? So that is the beauty of this tonal meningeal approach to full spine adjusting, in that when you do your scan top to bottom and you make one input into the system, you better recheck. Because the beauty of it is a lot of that initial distortion that you picked up that you said, okay, you kind of earmarked it. I'm going to go back for that later. Well, when you go back and recheck it, it's clear. The tone is consistent and congruent. It's like, ask Roman, it's the yummiest thing. When you go back and you just knew that there was this big distortion in there that was going to need something, and you might have just done a cranial contact. You might have just, done something that seemed small, but the whole global system unwound. And in the case of this orange, that is their medicine. A minute ago, they would have called it tension in their neck. And now, once you do this at a system that is at ease and physiological peace, and what do they say, Roman? They say, oh my God, I felt that all the way down to my toes and all the way through my hands. So now what are we calling it? What do you think they'll call it, Edwin?
No idea. Peace, ease,
energy.
Energy. Okay.
I'll be like, what are you feeling? They're going to be like, I just feel all this energy. I get to tell them it was always energy, but when it was stuck and bound in the system as a perfect adaptation of innate, right? Mm-hmm. That's when we refer to it as tension or stress or a knot or blah, 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 all those names. So we're actually helping to reorient them to their own energy system once we can help them access it and get it moving. Okay? And to go along with this, if we do take the system to tension, which we know what happens, look at their face. Now, when we put the input into that system that is laterally flexed, rotated over, at best, we have the possibility to just like shove the tension over to this side, where it can often do what? Create a whole nother subluxation. You guys following this? Okay. So I draw this diagram a lot just to help with this, what I think, Edwin, is a big part of your question. How do I know when, where, how, etc.? And then to help ideally drive home the incongruency with the bring it to tension model that has been so fostered.
Yeah, I feel more clear with the questions, but when I'm feeling it, sometimes I feel a lot of rapport, but when I go in, it doesn't have any give. So that's will be our red one here.
This red one here?
Yeah.
Well, first I just want to pay attention to the window. Okay, so this window is the biggest one. That's where we put the input in ideally first. Now, obviously, there's nuances to all these scenarios, but this is in the basic sense. Now, often what you're going to find is after you have put the input into this one that had the most rapport and invitation, guess what happens to all the other windows?
Opens.
They open up because they're not only their neurology, but like their soul, their everything says, I can trust you. I'm going to reveal myself more to you. Whereas the person who went to the big alley where they weren't invited, this might not be conscious because they might they're pulling for you so hard to please help me, but their neurology will back it down and not allow access to the system. And so, on one hand, if you find the rapport and as you start to feed in, if you feel something shutting down, okay, then we have those common misses that we'll talk about. And there it's take a look at yourself and where you are, which is making the system possibly shut down. And so that is heavy mental activity. That's attachment to the outcome. That is projection, taking stuff personally. The basics.
Okay.
What can make them shut down. Roman, do you want to speak on that at all?
Yeah, to have the respect of the body, you need to make love with her or with him, and not to her or to him. And your image is really good for visualization. Like if you give an input positive, like you make love with them, you open just your heart and you feel the window opening and you put something positive inside, you create a space for them. Like they keep it and hope come back. And that's why energy flow inside the nervous system. So yeah, my best advice for it is, make the love with them and not to them. Yeah.
And Edwin, you are going to come across, and for everybody, and I don't know, Atlas comes to mind, but you're going to come across people that it feels like someone has actually laid down cement in their Atlas occiput. And there will come a time, whether it's first visit or whenever, where you need to set that area free and get the pressure off the stem and get the vibration of the nervous system flowing again in that area. And it's going to take courage because you are going to put a force on the spine that old thinking or training would think this. If I put that much force into somebody, that means I really didn't like them and I was trying to hurt them. But you're going to come because life is going to send you these people because you are committing to this path of mastery of serving people who have been forgotten, who don't have hope, who have been medically mutilated, who have been violated in every way since birth. And they are going to need you to step up to the plate and with all the courage and all the love in your hands and heart and absolutely let it rip. And so it's not always a soft, gentle thing. There are going to be parts of spines that are like this, and it's also appropriate to put a very fast, very deep force into there to get it oscillating and moving.